What's up, Skirts Up Squad?
Did you just take my line?
It's Samantha.
And Melissa.
I'm going to actually tell you guys how it is right now.
It was so fun.
We couldn't even make it up. I'm going to do it. I'm going to wear it in public. And she looks at me and she goes, that's what Jesus is for. We are about normalizing things that are hard to talk about.
That was like deer in headlights, skirts out.
But keep your panties on. What's up, Skirts Up Squad? It's Samantha.
And it's Melissa.
Can you believe this is our second to last episode as Skirts Up as we've always been?
No, it's strange and it's sad. It's
sad.
very sad.
How are you feeling about it?
So as you know, but I guess the audience doesn't, there was a minute when I came to you and I was like, no, I don't want to stop. I want to keep doing this.
Yeah.
And then after I honestly, what was it that made me go, wait, no, I'm doing that thing again where I say yes to things because they feel good in the moment.
A big event in your life didn't go the way you needed it to go.
That is right. Yeah. And so then I felt like, well, shoot. Because it's true. I was banking a lot on the expo. Everybody knows that I went to. And I was thinking, okay, that is going to go well. And everything in my life is going to be a little easier because, when you have finances behind you, life is a little easier.
Yeah.
I thought it would free up more time and I couldn't do things that I enjoy, which I do enjoy the podcast.
Yeah.
Anyway, it kind of made me step back and be like, wait, no, I do need to keep focusing on work and other things right now.
Well, that makes me wonder, was that like a survival fear reaction of like, this didn't go my way, so holy smokes, everything's on fire, I can't do anything? And so like, it was like a rash decision of like, now I cannot continue even though I thought I wanted to? Or like, did it feel like, no, I was right the first time?
I think it was more that I was right the first time. I think the rash part was because every time I'm with you, I do enjoy it and it does feel good. Yeah. And we've talked about that before because it's good things. And so I was like, no, I can make this work. I can do it. Things are going to be okay in a minute and I'll have more time. It'll be fine. Yeah. And then I was like, it made me step back and really be like, okay, what are the things I need to do to focus on right now to kind of keep my business in a place where I want it and move forward emotionally and personally as well, not just with the business. But that all to say, like, it's sad. I feel like it's the right thing, but yeah, it's one of those things that I have every once in a while. I'll kind of like flip-flop on and be like, no, I can still do it.
Yeah, it's really hard to like say, yeah, I'm really sad. But then it's like hard to say that when on the other side, it's like, no, like applause. You're doing what you like, or you're listening to yourself and doing what
thank
you need to do. So then it's like, okay, can I really be sad?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just hard. Yeah, change is hard. And I like doing this together. So I don't know.
The other thing that makes it a little tricky is the fact that just because something is good doesn't always mean it's right, which is kind of hard to like wrap your head around sometimes. Mm-hmm. The podcast is good. It brings me good things, and so I kind of want to tell myself, no, I should keep doing it. It's hard to say goodbye to something that's good.
Yeah. And when you say it that way, it's like, why would you say goodbye? But
it does.
Anyway.
I know. But I'm being spread too thin.
Yeah, that's fair. And I get that. There's been a lot in the air that has been going on behind the scenes. And so that's also been really hard. And
I have to just throw in, she's not talking just about me. Like there's been a lot. I don't want it to sound like I've just been yanking her around.
Oh yeah, Melissa has been making my life a whole mess. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, there's a whole bunch. There's a lot of different factors behind the scenes going on of decisions to possibly take the podcast and ways to move the podcast, but still keeping it true to the brand. And there's been a lot of back and forth. And that's been heavily weighing on us as well, because of course I want to keep it as true to what we built.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We put a lot of emotion and love. It's like a baby, right?
You guys probably may have noticed last week when we posted an old episode, we just got so in our feels, and by that, really me. And I was like, I just can't right now.
It's okay. It was a lot. Yeah. Yeah. So
But here we are.
we're here. We are
And
here.
actually, I'm not even mad about resharing that episode because that is like top 5 favorite from our listeners.
Yeah.
So it was fun to replay that. And then it actually reminded me one of my favorite things from our earlier episodes is when we would take funnies from the episode and put that before the intro music. So
That's
then like
true.
you would get like a taste of something funny that's going to come in.
Yep.
And why did we stop doing that? I loved that.
That was cute and fun. Yeah. Yeah, I did like that too. Are you going to start doing it again?
Yeah, I was actually telling Courtney a couple of days ago that I'm slightly offended because our episode with Courtney, my best friend, we had her on for an episode and we kind of talked about like us growing up together and like the stuff we got into and just, poor decisions and that we're glad we're 30 now. Like when I listen to that episode, like I cry laugh, like
Yeah.
hysterically. But that is not even in a top 20 of our
No.
episode. And I was like, I think I'm offended. Like, I love that episode.
That's hilarious.
Then Courtney's
That's
like, we
okay.
can do better. We can one up this. We can do better.
Ooh, she's right. Get her back on.
We told most of our juicy stories. Like what?
You're like, we have nothing that we held back.
Now we are boring.
Stop. No, actually, what I really liked about that episode was where it took a turn and she was talking about like advocating for a kid. Like it was really neat to see where, okay, yeah, it could have just been about two girls growing up and being silly, but like to see like what she's evolved into and where life takes us. It's just, I thought it was interesting. I liked that.
Yeah. Yeah, like you're right. The episode does evolve into like a lot of fun, but then transitions into like serious look at how far you really come from like your early 20s to like your 30s,
Right? Like life makes you grow up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, some of us, I guess. There's some
Anywho, so if you haven't listened to that episode, I'm linking it and listen to it so that it can become a top favorite.
Oh, okay, I
least the
see
top
it.
10.
That's the motive here. Okay, got it. Go listen to it.
It's one of my favorite guys. Okay. I'm done.
Bars.
Mic drop.
Mic drop. Okay. All right. So what do we got today?
We like to have episodes on awareness of things that are important to us. And this month, April, is the awareness month for functional neurological disorders and the psychological non-epileptic seizures. So these are what we've talked about, what I've experienced and gone through, and what now I do in my professional life. We want to talk all about it. And
yeah, I'm excited because I already thought it was an interesting thing to talk about, right? Like, obviously. But I didn't know that April was this month. And I started thinking about it like, okay, awareness. And this is a weird top thing that popped into my head, though. I thought, what about all the parents that have kids who are having these issues? And then the doctor's like, nope, there's nothing wrong. Like, that's got to be terrifying.
I'm actually seeing a lot of that where minors are being diagnosed. Like, I mean, I've seen as little as like a 5-year-old being diagnosed with non-epileptic seizures that are being diagnosed as FND to teenagers. And what I feel like, one, that's crazy and unfortunate. And I wish that I could help everyone, but I don't know that I have I don't know what you want to call it, but I'm just not comfortable working with minors. And so I feel like not being comfortable with that would be a disservice. So I hope that someday I find someone whose specialty is like pediatrics or, minor mental health care, and that they want to learn the techniques of what I do and transition into the practice so that we can help and address the kids that are being diagnosed with it, because it's ridiculous of how much. And what's not talked about is honestly the suicide rate of it.
Oh, wait, how is that even like, wait, tell me more about that. Like, how do they even know?
This is something that I wish I had in front of me right now. I don't have the statistic in front of me right now, and I feel like it would take me a while to dig it up. But the number was quite alarming. I mean, it was in the double digits of like 30% or something. Like, I mean, it was alarming. So basically, I mean, once you get diagnosed with it, doctors will oftentimes start ponding you off. So like if your general doctor, what is that called? Like your main doctor that you go to?
General practitioner.
If they diagnose it in the office, then when they send you the referral to neurology, a lot of times the neurologist won't even accept you as a client because there's nothing they can do. So they don't even want to like do an evaluation or have that care set up and established. So then you're left with this diagnosis and no guidance or understanding, and now no one wants to work with you, and no one believes like if something new happens or whatever, because it's psychological and all made up. And I say that in quotes.
Yes. Thank you for saying that. Wow. Okay. We hit on a couple things just there I wanted to ask you about. Well, I'm glad that you said like, hey, it's not my forte working with the minors, and
I hate it, but yeah, I feel like kids are so like malleable, and I'm not comfortable taking that on. Like, I don't know the ins and out of a child's brain.
Yeah.
And that's just, I feel like that's a lot of pressure, and I'm just not comfortable taking that on.
And that's actually completely fair, because you're working with stuff, I mean, that's obviously trauma induced, and that there's, years and years and years of lots of studies that go into that. That would be really hard that would be scary. It's very sensitive, is what I should say.
And the word trauma is actually very controversy in the F&D world.
Controversial? Oh, yeah. Why?
Because a lot of times when people are diagnosed with the FND, they are told to go seek psychiatrists because it must be trauma related, or, just it's psychological, with the main belief being that it's trauma based. Some people I've never been through trauma. And if you're thinking about a 5-year-old, like what if we're talking like a 5-year-old that's never been in a traumatic car accident, that's never been through parents divorced. I mean, like, what trauma, if this kid has been healthy its whole life, like what trauma can you say it's been through, So it's really hard to tell someone or, try to make it fit that it's caused by trauma. And so I don't necessarily know that that's accurate. But what I do think is that we've talked a lot about attachment styles and how really we're observing conversations around us and how our caregivers are handling situations. And so I could see it a viable option that maybe, a 5-year-old or what have you could be seeing unhealthy communication between the parents. And I'm not saying violent, and I'm not saying anything harmful, just in a sense that's like not necessarily healthy, and then maybe the child's confused, and so that its own kind of stems a response. I don't know. So, and that's just kind of my thought. There's no like scientific
backing yet.
Yeah.
Except for, I think there might be some, because we've already talked with other therapists and people online or on our podcast so far, and we've kind of learned that trauma is a real thing, but it's also very subjective.
Hear me out. On the podcast, we also talk about all worldly possibilities, right? Like we've talked about reincarnation. Yeah. What if a child is reincarnated with an actual past trauma? And what if that is something that should be looked through the RTT lens, and that can be processed and evaluated? But again, that's not something I'm willing to test out.
No, that's so interesting. And so what I think I hear you saying is like, yeah, it's caused by trauma, but also it's hard to like educate everybody on like, it's hard to tell a parent to their face, hey, there's something traumatic going on with your kid. And they're like, what? What did I do? We didn't do anything. We're taking care of him perfectly. Is that kind of what you're saying?
I think
so. It's just not, maybe it's just not for you. And we can get off this topic anyway, because you already said
Yeah, kids aren't my thing, but yeah, like I don't think that it's right or necessarily true to tell a parent or anyone that like, oh no, you have gone through trauma or they have gone through trauma. So we need to figure this out. I think that there's a lot of what ifs.
Fair. And that's just, yeah, that's fair. So interesting. So you brought up the idea that our body can hold on to trauma, or maybe our souls, who per se, if that's what one believes in, from another life or different things like that too. That's interesting.
And that actually just came to me. I've never really pondered on that, but I mean, with everything that we have dabbled in, anything and everything's possible. So
Oh yeah.
why
And
wouldn't
actually
that be possible?
there's definitely like research that has been done on it. Like there are um and I wish I could pull up a name off the top of my head, but I've read books where they talk about trauma from past lives and stuff. So it is a thing that is being discussed in some areas. I think it's interesting. So tell me more. Okay. So we're talking about functional neurological disorder
Disorders. Yeah.
disorders. Okay. I just to make sure that I understand what this is when your body is telling your neurological system to behave in a certain way because of a perceived trauma.
Yeah.
What I'm
Or a
understanding.
perceived danger. I
Threat.
actually call it kind of like a safety loop, is kind of what I think the body and the mind are doing together.
Okay, so it's kind of like saying, "Hey, this thing has hurt me before. I'm just going to do something to completely either distract it or take myself out of the situation." Is
Yeah.
kind of what you're saying. So, for instance, for you, you were having non-epileptic seizures.
Hmm.
Um, I know Dr. Carolyn talked about somebody who had gone blind,
Yeah.
meaning once they were able to kind of work with him, he could see again. So it wasn't actually like an actual physical ailment. It was his body
Yeah.
shutting down, and it was a protective loop, is what you're calling it.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
like that. Okay. That being said, one of the other people that we've talked to over the years. Okay, fine. Over the last couple in one of our seasons was Ashley, and
Uh-huh.
she talked about RTT, and that was something that piqued your interest. So tell me a little bit about how
Yeah.
that applies to your journey of FND. And yeah.
Yeah, so that's really funny because when we had our recording with Ashley, the topic wasn't even anything to do with RTT. It was really just about following your heart and like not being afraid to stop doing what you've always done, like career-wise, and then just start something new. Because I don't know if you guys remember, she was like a psychologist and then decided to stop to be a cooking blog and have a cooking blog and make a cooking book. So that's like a
That's
huge
right. I
random
even
jump.
forgot that part.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like this big lesson of like it is okay to like bet on yourself and just like make a shift to what makes you happy. And then part of her, and I think this is where I got the term following the breadcrumbs. I think that was from her saying that just as she continues to want to learn more, she follows the breadcrumbs and picks up more knowledge about something and then follows the breadcrumbs to something new that just keeps growing her or keep
Yeah.
elevating her. And that recently, her curiosity of spirituality and healing led to RTT,
What does that stand for?
Rapid Transformation Therapy.
Okay. And then what piqued your interest about that? Because
You know,
we all know, like, not spoiler alert, we're here to talk about
what I do.
FND and how RTT can help it. And I just wanted to kind of like, yeah, lead into how you got where you are with this.
I don't know. I
Oh,
I do remember that we talked about it because I was like, wait, what is this? And then she's describing it to us, and it was like, this is a lot to grasp. I'm curious, but I have no idea what she's talking about. And I remember looking it up after the conversation. I was like, okay, sure. And then within the same week, it came up in conversation by two other people. And we had talked recently in that era we had
Yeah.
also talked a lot about synchronicity. And so I was like, oh, 3 times in like a week span of something that's really odd that I've never heard of before. Okay, that's telling me something. And so I literally like didn't even think about it. I pulled it up. I did like the pre like interview and like the
To go
pre
to school.
uh-huh. And then, I mean, within 2 weeks, told Simon, hey, I'm signing up for this really expensive course and I'm going to be a practitioner. And he was thrown off because he was like, have you even thought about this? Like, is there any thought, and he's concerned.
More than he knew. Yes, there was.
But is there really? Like, I'm someone who thinks through everything. And 2 weeks is not me thinking through anything. Like, let's be honest.
Interesting. Okay, so you feel like you didn't really think through it.
Oh, no. I think I definitely just was like, synchronicity.
Oh, really? I didn't know this. This is good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I literally was just like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And then I just did it.
Okay, because I also thought that maybe didn't your therapist do RTT on you?
No, my therapist did brain spotting.
Brain spotting. That's right. That's right. Okay. Okay. All right. I actually didn't realize that. I thought you were like, whoa, and you felt something and you kind of went with it.
I mean, I felt something. I mean, I felt the nudge of like,
That's true.
you should follow this, but it was not a logical nudge.
Okay. And then did you feel like the logic followed as you were going to school?
I think that it evolved throughout the whole time in school because originally I was like, oh, it's going to be this one thing and this is what I'm going to use it for. And I think it was great and a good idea. But then as I started learning like the ins and outs of how it works, I started realizing how it would have probably helped me personally when I started getting the seizures. And now, honestly, and it just kind of was like this light bulb. Why is no one using it for this? And then, really it's because no one really knows about it. So why would there be a protocol for something that people don't knowingly know exists as a problem?
Right. So when you talk about wanting to educate, so I'll just, again, spoiler alert.
I love
Sam
it.
wants one of the things that you're wanting to do is really educate physicians and doctors like about this so that it can, but you're not just wanting to educate them about FND, but also RTT and how they can work together.
Yeah, I think it's a combination. And so I don't know if you guys remember the episode when we had DJ on not too long ago. I mentioned how he really just like lifted my day, like saved my day. And just the day that we spoke for the first time, like he just said things that spoke to the soul and really lifted me up and continued me to move on. And one of the things is, who am I to be thinking I'm going to educate physicians and doctors? Like, I'm not a doctor. Like, what am I talking about? And then, there's DJ saying, well, I'm not, a psychologist. I'm not this, I'm not that. But what I am is someone who has helped people XYZ. And so then that was like, yeah, I am. I am someone who has lived it. So I'm someone who can explain it. And I have found a way that has reversed the symptoms of FNDs. So yeah.
Yeah. No, this is very interesting. So tell us more about how RTT works with FND.
So what I have found is that RTT in general can be used to address.
Oh yeah, we should probably let people know what it is exactly, huh?
Yeah, so rapid transformational therapy. It can be used for many things. People use it a lot of times for phobias, OCD, infertility, severe anxiety, depression, chronic pain. So it can be used on anything. It's a 21-day protocol, and it starts with just a free consultation. We'll spend 20 minutes talking about what's been going on and seeing if we're a good fit, because not everyone's going to be a good fit for the process, because it does take, again, like the 21-day commitment to follow through with it. And if you aren't ready to follow through with it and it's not like an astounding, yes, let's do it, then who is that really helping?
Yeah. Yeah. But
So
you need people who are ready for change.
ready for change. Yeah. I mean, I think Christine Terry, I love that I'm able to call on all these past guests.
Yes.
Terry Christine said it. She can't want it more than you. And I cannot want that change for you and that progress for you more than you do. So
exactly. Okay.
So yeah, we do that call, make sure we're a good fit for each other. After that, we'll talk through areas of concern that you have and try to pinpoint exactly what it is that we want to hit on. And that usually takes about 30 minutes. And then on another day, we will schedule the about 2-hour session where we'll go through a introductory into a light state, like a very relaxed state, which resembles like a state of hypnosis.
Okay.
Which again, this is where it throws people because people are
I could tell you were nervous not nervous, but you were hesitant to use the word hypnosis just now.
Yeah, because it throws people, and a lot of people are like, oh, I will not be hypnotized and be told to quack like a duck. And then I just kind of laugh and I'm like, I mean, you can quack like a duck if you want to, but I can't make you do anything. So if you do, that's on you.
You're saying all that quacking I did was not you?
Melissa!
Okay, so it's a state of relaxation.
It's
like
a
deep.
state of,
Would you say deep?
Yeah, deep relaxation. And it literally mimics. So I actually had to look this up recently because I was going through this like experience of every time I was driving, I would get extremely tired and then I would come home and have to take a nap like right after dropping the kids off from school. And that's really weird and new and I did not appreciate it. So I was looking it up and it was like, oh, road hypnosis. And so one of the things that you learn in school to explain what the hypnosis is like is that it's like an extreme relaxation. And the best way to kind of put in your mind what it's like is like when you're driving and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, how did I get home? Because you just kind of dazed out and just was on autopilot to get home.
Yeah. And it's not like your brain was off. You were still thinking about things and doing things, but suddenly like everything around you is like, whoa, time just seemed to travel.
Yeah. And then, you have to like shake your head and be like, whoa, all right, I'm awake. That was odd. And, and that's all it is. I mean.
Okay. All right. And you help people get into that state for what purpose? What happens next?
So when we do that, we're talking to the subconscious mind and not the logical conscious mind. And I know we've talked about this in previous episodes, but the subconscious mind is what's responsible for 95% of all of your thoughts, emotions, habits, just about everything. Stored memories that you don't remember. It's all in the subconscious container of 95.
It seems kind of scary if you think about it like that like my mind, that my every action in my life is being run by a part of me that I can't really access that easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for a few years, I feel like you had mentioned multiple times of, I want to eat healthy and I want to go to the gym.
Yeah.
But then it'll start for a few days or a week and then it falls off. Yeah. And that's because the part that's engraved in our subconscious brain has already decided for us, this is our routine. This is what's normal. And you don't know that you've already established that in your subconscious mind. But now your subconscious mind is going to do everything it can to make sure that we stay on routine. Like we're not going to go into the danger zone of the unknown.
Well, I'm glad you said danger zone because it's all to keep us safe, right?
Yeah, everything that's stored in there its purpose is to keep us alive. That's what our mind's job is to do. So that's why we have that resistance. It's because it is programmed into our brain subconsciously that anything against what we've programmed is dangerous and I will stop you.
Yeah. So RTT, are you saying, can help break some of those programs, some of that programming?
Yeah, we're bypassing the conscious mind, going to the subconscious mind. So that way, if we were talking with you and in your subconscious mind about, I know I want to eat healthy, but it only lasts for a couple of days and then it stops and I'm eating a lot of food again the next day. Well, when we go into the subconscious mind, we'll direct the subconscious to show us 3 to 4 instances throughout your whole entire life. Usually it's somewhere much younger. We will ask the subconscious mind to show us 3 to 4 times in our life where we have programmed ourselves to believe that eating healthy is not for us.
Got you.
And a lot of times what I've seen is we'll go to scenes where it was the type of family where at dinner you were not allowed to get up until you ate all of your broccoli.
Okay.
So that's programming that eating healthy is not safe because if I don't want to eat it, I'm being forced to be unhappy,
Oh,
right?
interesting. Yeah.
It doesn't feel good to be told you can't leave the table until you eat something you don't want to eat.
Right. Right.
Is that trauma? Most people would say no, but that doesn't mean that a 5-year-old brain isn't perceiving that as trauma.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Actually, that makes sense. It's back to what Melissa Walker was telling us that one time
Yeah. There was one
about.
incident where someone with a binge eating disorder, and what that ultimately came down to when we were exploring the scenes was that it was actually a fond memory of the only time their dad interacted with them and spent quality time with them is when he would come home from these like long business trips, and he would come home with like a whole bunch of fast food and unhealthy foods and be like, I'm home, here you go. And so it was like a really comforting thing of dad's home, and we have all this food that's like so good. And so it's a bonding memory.
Whoa, I think I found a memory I want to RTT with you.
Yeah.
Yes. When I was 5 years old, and I used to, like, I didn't have any, like, food issues at that point in my life, but I remember my dad doing like a chicken leg eating contest with me, and I ate 6 chicken legs. And for like, he bragged about that to everybody. You couldn't believe this little tiny little girl put all these chicken legs down. And for a long time, I forgot about this until you just said it. But I was like, my dad's proud of me because I can eat a lot. And I think that's something that is probably in there
No
somewhere
way.
floating around. Yes. Yeah.
Right. Because I mean, and we can cut this if I'm speaking out of terms, but I feel like we've talked about that there's been that break and feeling like there was never pride because there was a lot of criticism.
Yes. Yes.
And so that actually, yeah, that would make so much sense that you have this one moment where he's really proud of you and would brag about it to everyone, and that there's that subconscious thing in your brain. That is so wild.
Isn't that crazy? My goodness. And I was just a tiny little girl, like, but anyway. Okay, so I wanted to ask about the 21-day commitment you were talking about, but did we I mean, obviously we're not going to sit here and have an RTT like experience for everybody to see.
Right.
Oh, maybe we could though.
We could. We totally could.
We talked about doing that for me, and then
I know. And then I forgot.
because I did go to your house for RTT, and we were going to maybe share a part of it.
Yeah.
It was actually a really good day.
So you're asking like, what is the 21-day protocol? Like, why is it?
Yeah, because like I understand. Okay, so just so people can follow, you go into a state of relaxation. We start asking the subconscious, like, what are things that are like, what are memories, core memories that and beliefs that led up to
This moment,
whatever issue it is that we're working on. Yes. And then, yeah. And then you talked about a 21-day commitment. And so I'm kind of like, what's the end of this? Like, how does it help?
So after we complete our session, at the end of it, we will have really dived into, like what the limiting factor is. We will have addressed it and spoke with our subconscious brain of how we're not 5 years old anymore that needs to be praised on eating 6 chicken legs, right? Like we're 40 years old and I want to be praised on looking good in 40,
Or
and
whatever it is. Yeah.
yeah, whatever it is. And so then, we'll transition that. And so this kind of is like where the scientific-y like neuroplasticity comes into. And I remember learning about this for the first time in like a really basic term. I remember in my premarital counseling, and it always stuck with me. She said, 3 weeks make a habit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always stuck with me. Anything I wanted to do, I always hear 3 weeks make a habit. And so like I try to make myself do it for at least 3 weeks before I decide if something is what I want or not. And funny enough is 3 weeks is 21 days. And when I started RTT, it's a 21-day program. Like, this is how it works. And so it's really true. It takes the 21 days, the 3 weeks to make a habit. And what that means is that since we just talked about all of our habits are stored in our subconscious brain, it takes time to unlearn what your mind has decided is safety.
Okay.
So what we're doing is we make a recording about what we want and how we want it to keep, protect us, and how we want it to help us function now as our adult self. And you'll listen to that recording once to twice a day for 21 days. And that's how you're going to reprogram a healthier protection.
Okay. So now the cat's out of the bag. I did have an RTT session with you. I really it did not go exactly how I expected. And I really
did not go how I expected either.
No, I remember you saying that actually.
I was literally prepped for like a whole direction. And then we like go through it.
I was too.
And I ended up using a whole different bag of tools. Like it was interesting. It put me for a loop. But it was a good learning opportunity because I am someone who like tries to plan ahead. But like when you're working with other people's minds, you can't plan ahead. You don't know what they're going to say. You don't know what they're thinking. And so you have to be able to shift and move with the changes. So it was good for me.
It was awesome, actually, for me. And look, I do think that there's different things that work for different people. And I'm not going to say this is going to like heal everybody like 100% in every way. But I think that how can it hurt putting like a positive spin on your life for 21 days? Like, this is what I want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's actually pretty cool. And I can't wait to do it again. Do we want to talk about my?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, tell me, like, what was it like sitting in the chair, and like, did you know what to expect? Was it explained well enough to know what to expect?
I feel like, I had an idea that, okay, we're going to go into like a state of relaxation. I didn't know how you were going to use I didn't know what tools you're going to use to get me there.
Right.
But actually it was a very familiar tool. It was one that I had experienced with Dion, right? Yeah. Who I did, what's it called? Past life regression with. Yeah. And so it was a very similar tool. You walked me down some stairs. We just kind of like, it's just like you took time to help me get into this state of trust and relaxation. And I liked that. I felt very calm and I felt like I really could trust you. Beforehand, we had talked a lot about what I wanted to tackle. And do you remember what it was?
We ended up working with guilt.
Yeah. So I had a lot of feelings about my recent divorce. And I thought, I know it's not my fault, all these things that happened, but of course I did play a part. So some of it, like you can't just put fault in one place, right? So I had a lot of guilt, like, well, maybe I'm the reason this all happened. So that was kind of what I wanted to talk about. And I thought maybe it would help me get over my feelings of missing my ex too. We totally went a different way, didn't we? My subconscious wasn't really.
Yeah, which this is actually, I mean, that's the part I was expecting. I expected it to not be a focus on your ex-husband.
Okay.
What did I was anticipating and expecting to visit scenes with your dad. So that was not a surprise to me.
Okay. What was and we visited scenes.
So that was surprising to you that it was more geared towards like parental situations?
Yeah, I guess I expected to have some traumatic scenes of my time with Brett pop up. Not a single one did. Like, I feel like we had nothing to do with him.
Like, and that's how it tends to work. Yeah.
Okay.
It's very normal.
What was the part that surprised you then? Because we had scenes pop up. I remember 3 scenes. Well, I remember there were 3 scenes, but I only remember 2. One was when I was at the beach and I was being kind of berated about the age of like 7. One was when I was at the hospital, probably like 3 or 4, and my brother was sick. And then there was another one, and I don't remember that last scene was. regardless, though, you had said something like this. I think you expected there to be more scenes with my dad or have a conversation with him or something like that. And then really there weren't. Like what was the part that threw you, I guess?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different ways to assess the scenes that you're shown. And I highly expected that we'd be visiting a lot of things with your dad. And so what I was expecting is that what would be helpful for you in your subconscious brain to kind of move over that hump would be to have a conversation with your dad in your subconscious brain. And so basically that's you getting the opportunity to speak and ask questions. And then in your mind being able to switch into your dad and then speaking from your dad to answer those questions and
kind of a role play.
Yes, role play with it's called role play with the herder.
Oh.
And so that's what I was expecting. But that's not what I ended up really believing that you needed at the time. I ended up really believing that you needed that child version of you to merge and see your adult life so that you don't have that lingering child in the past holding you, kind of holding you back, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it was interesting. I even remember in the middle of the session, you going, wait a minute. You even said it out loud on accident. It was so cute. You're like, wait a minute. And you started ruffling through pages and you're like, I wasn't expecting to have to use this. And then you went and found something or other or whatever it was. Do you remember that moment?
Yeah, I was getting like really stressed and in my head. So let me just, I know what I'm doing, like, because I know what I'm doing.
Good.
So I think it worked out okay.
Oh, it did. It was fantastic. And yeah, it was fantastic. I felt better afterwards in a weird way. Basically, what we did in the end was have like a conversation with my little baby child self.
Yeah. How weird was that?
Not too weird because I've done parts work before, but it was unexpected, if that makes sense. I wasn't really expecting it that day either.
Did it feel like anything emotionally heavy to have a conversation with yourself and kind of like bring it into your today's life? Or like, what was it like going through it in the moment?
So I've had to do it in the past, and it's always a good reminder because it's hard for me to have the same love that I would have for if I was like looking at another little child because I love children, right? And why would I look at another 4-year-old, a little child, and say like, "Oh, it's all your fault"? So it's not something that I do naturally, is to have that love for myself and being able to see myself as a child. It helps. It helps a lot because their children are so precious. And what we need to do is actually do it again. And maybe there will be a fun part of it that we can share at the recording with people, just so they can get like an inside view of it.
Yeah, that's definitely on my list to do. I want to be able to create some free tangible things that people can just take and use and start exploring with it on their own to see how it helps or works for them as like another way to see if this is a good option for them. That is something that I want to do. And I really want to be able to talk about RTT in general because it's such a useful tool. And especially like we were talking about functional neurological disorders and there is no cure and a lot of people don't feel like there is. And I'm not saying that this is a cure and I'm not saying this is like a miracle, but what I am saying is that I've had clients that have had these full 360 changes. I've had clients that have been able to walk again normally, travel again, spend time with family, able to work again. And that's a big thing. Like when you're diagnosed with FND is a lot of us lose our jobs or aren't able to work and aren't able to do things that bring us joy. And I have had a patient that has 360 been able to go back to their job, been able to walk again, travel, spend time with family, do arts that they enjoy. Like they have this full life back that they weren't able to have. And so I know this works.
Yeah.
And it's just, getting this as an option to people is really
getting it
the
out
big
there
struggle right now.
Yeah. Well, this is the first step.
Yeah. I am hosting next week on the 8th, April 8th. I have a free, I'm calling it a free support event, F&D support event. And so I have people coming in, it'll be over Zoom, and I will be recording it. And basically the point and the purpose of it is having people on that have a functional neurological disorder and to be like validated and educated and then empowered throughout the course of the call. So I'm going to validate all the feelings and emotions and symptoms that we've all have experienced that have not been validated by doctors and family members. And then I'll educate them on how the brain, what we were talking about, the safety loop, and how we get stored this way of health and safety in our brain, and we have to figure out a way to untangle that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be doing like a walkthrough of some self-reflection to help people kind of see in themselves where could this have gone through, and then at the end be able to show them options. So
this is April 8th. What time?
It is at 2 p.m. if I remember correctly. But I can put the link in, and it's not only people with functional neurological disorders that have already signed up. Some of them are clinicians that I think are just curious. So that's really cool and part of the whole, right? So yeah, it's my first time. We all know that public speaking is not my thing. So I'm like really, really nervous, but I have that. That's my first public outreach. I'm working with a neuroscientist, and we're trying to come up with ways to combine our approaches to get in front of other doctors to educate them and give them options for their clients as opposed to just the shaking it off, you know?
Yeah.
And so we're working on trying to get to a big mental health expo where we can really get into the face of a bunch of people that are open and willing to learn about what it is and protocols to help. So
very cool.
So
you're going to attach this link and anybody can just join in. Do you need to like some RSVPs?
It is an RSVP link. Yeah. So the link will take you to the page of information on what to expect and what we're talking about and all the things. And then the link to register is right there. And so then you'll get the Zoom link sent to you so that you can join.
Okay. Awesome.
I am glad to be here with you guys and had this conversation with you. And I'm not looking forward to this being the end of a season.
Me either. I'm not either. That's all I can say. But I am glad for every second I got to spend with you.
Oh, me too. And we will be here again next week for you guys. And we'll figure it out.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Skirts out.
One last in there.
Did you like the episode that you heard today? Great. Share it with a friend and don't forget to rate and review.